Splitting protons. Now let's talk about the splitting of the proton, or photon, as it is quite conspiratorially known as now, due to lies told by the government in my opinion. The government don't want you to know about this one, because it is very deep and big business in terms of power mongering and the weapon trade market. I was speaking to my brother-in-law Peter on the topic, and he informed me that the proton, or photon as it is now known, is apparently the smallest particle in known existence. Basically, in the beginning of the 20th century, Einstein split the atom and found inside of it a smaller particle known as the nucleus, being circulated by an electron and a proton. The nucleus is the base Earth energy, while the electron represents electric energy and the proton represents light. In other terms, the electron is electricity, the proton is solar power, and the nucleus is fossil fuels. They say this arrangement looks like a mini solar system. So, if the insides of something that is inside the solar system looks like an even smaller solar system, what's the point of dividing it again and again in the pursuit of finding an answer to science, religion, and philosophy's questions? When all that is to be understood is that reality is the same, no matter how small or big it is, or how small or big the telescope or microscope you are looking at it through is, as I explained in the opening chapter of this book. Life imitates art, so what happens in art will come true, depending on how many people viewed it and believe in it. I am saying this to explain the sinister nature of this proton-photon splitting. It was some point around 15 years ago that I first became aware that they had split the proton and were now mysteriously referring to it as a photon. This was also, I swear to you, no longer than the same month that I saw that they were destroying the ruins in Iraq that contained depictions of alien creation gods known as the Anunnaki. These are the very same ruins that are depicted in the opening scenes of Disney's incarnation of Marvel's Iron Man series. Yes, Iron Man, the film starring Robert Downey Jr. Now you may be wondering where I am headed with this tangent, but walk with me on this one. Basically, in the early 2000s, there were Marvel computer games where you could pick superheroes and fight each other. Iron Man's finishing move was the proton cannon, a deadly and massive gun that shot protons and destroyed everyone in sight. If such a thing were to be built, it would be more feared and deadly than the atomic bomb, aka nuclear missile, aka nuke. See, when Albert Einstein split the atom, the American government kidnapped him and forced him to take his findings and use them to develop the notorious A-bomb that they used to win the war by launching it on Japan. The way you build an A-bomb is simple. This is something I learnt from my time lighting spliffs with no lighter when smoking was banned during my time in prison. First, you break your kettle's handle open and you are presented with a red, brown, and blue wire. You cut the red and blue wires in half, then kindle the red wire to the blue wire in order to create a spark that you then use to catch a flame on a piece of tissue to light your joint. But if you accidentally make the red wire touch the opposing red wire, then you create a massive explosion that short wires the whole block and has all the inmates screaming how they're going to kill you from behind their doors. This is the same with a magnet or a battery. Magnets and batteries have both positive and negative ends. If you put the positive side of a battery into the positive side of its holder, it won't work. More to the point, if you try put the positive side of a magnet to the positive side of another magnet, it will create a tangible force that pushes both of them away from each other. When I explained this to my friend Mohammed in Signet Churchill Private Mental Hospital, he said, yes, like gay sex. So I had to remind him that the same effect can be achieved between a man and a woman. And then he bowed to me and called me his master. But anyway, in the same sense of the slit experiment, whereby they were firing atoms through a slit in a wall, if you were to fire a proton at a proton, you would get a reaction 1,000,000 times more powerful than attempting to push the same side of two magnets together. This force could be used for good or evil. Yes, it could be used to just turn people to toast. But my theory is a blast of pure light could make you travel decades, if not centuries forward in time, as Einstein's theory of relativity already explains. And, if I'm not mistaken, doing the same thing with the electrons could make you travel backwards in time. All that I am sure of is that we haven't heard the last of the proton.